Alright, made it down to the forest trail. So, it's awesome down here. I just love it. Thing is, like, yeah, it's a trail. Yeah, sometimes people are down here, but it's not very often. And I find for myself that, like, getting out here, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love people, right? I have a bunch of people that I love, a bunch of people that, you know, I like being around and all that, but I think sometimes throughout, you know, you gotta take that time just for yourself, right? Be able to process everything that's happened, everything you got going on, even if it's not every day, you know, relatively often. Just to give the thoughts you have time to pass, right? You know, so mainly what I was thinking just now was, I think sometimes life can take you through the lonely chapter. I was being alone and I was thinking about the lonely chapter and wondering, you know, how many people actually are going through it, or if people actually know what it is, what it means. There's quite a few bugs down here. Should have wore a sweater. It's a little hot for it though. So, yeah, the lonely chapter, right? I think sometimes life takes you through a lonely chapter, and, you know, not necessarily because you did something wrong, or because, you know, friggin' mosquitoes, or doesn't mean your life's bad, or, you know, nobody loves you. Sometimes it just means you're in a season, you're changing seasons, and some of the old things just don't fit anymore, and new things haven't fully formed yet. I'm still working my way through one of those right now. It's a strange place to be, right? Because, you know, from the outside, people look at your life and they think you're fine. You know, you're working, you got responsibilities, you got the family, you have a lot to be thankful for. You have people around you. But, you know, inside yourself, you can still feel lonely. And, yeah, I'm starting to work out of a season like that. A lot of changes can bring along the lonely chapter, right? Sometimes lonely doesn't mean you fully feel. It means you don't fully feel understood, right? Sometimes it can mean you're changing and people around you don't really know what to do with the new version of you or who you're becoming, you know? And sometimes lonely, which means you outgrew the places you used to fit, but you haven't quite found the new places to belong. It could be God pulling you into quiet because there's things he needs to show you without all the noise. And that part can be pretty hard because sometimes you don't understand everything that's happening, right? You're just going through the motions, passing through the day, wondering why everything feels off, everything feels weird. Because when you start changing your life, you start thinking like everything's going to feel better right away. You think, you know, I lost weight, everything's going to change, I'm going to have more discipline, everything's going to change, healthier choices, right? I got faith. These freaking mosquitoes down here, I'm telling you, better not get to us now. You know, you make better choices, start having better habits. I think all of that will just automatically somehow fill the void or make you feel whole. And it, like, all those things, yeah, definitely they do help, and they definitely change you, and they'll make you into a stronger person, for sure. And it genuinely gives you proof that you can become different. If you try hard enough, you can become anything you want to be. But sometimes after you change, you realize you don't fully know where you belong anymore. The old version of you had, places to go. The version had habits, people, had a lot of distractions, I would say. The old version had escapes, right? Even if some of those things were, maybe they were hurtful to yourself, they were still familiar. But when you start changing your life, you can't always bring everything with you. And that can feel lonely. Because growth genuinely has a cost. And nobody really tells you that part, right? They tell you, like, people will tell you, like, genuinely, I've been out here and I fucked up more times than I can count. Pardon my language. But I don't know how else to say it. But nobody really tells you that growth has a cost. You mess up here and there. Maybe you take things too far sometimes. And people just tell you, change it, right? Tell you, get better, level up, leave the old life behind. But they don't always tell you that sometimes when you do, there's a gap, a space between you and who you were and who you're going to become. And that gap, you really do start questioning everything. You can start wondering if you made the right choices. You start missing things weren't good for you, but everyone else is doing it and you kind of still want to fit in, so maybe you should go back. You start having these thoughts of, well, maybe it wasn't so bad. Maybe I could try it again and be better now. Maybe I'm missing things. I wonder what they're up to. Basically, you can start romanticizing old versions of your life. Not because they were better, but because they were familiar. Right? Familiarity. You can start thinking maybe you're the problem. Maybe you're too deep. You think too much. Nobody gets you. And maybe this is just how life is going to feel now. Flat. That's the best word that I've found to use to explain it. Everything is like so good, you're so pumped, and then it just kind of falls flat because you're like, okay, well, what now? So yeah, maybe this is just how life's gonna feel now. But you know what? After going through it a few times, I don't think that's the truth. I think, sometimes the lonely chapter, it's not punishment. Sometimes it's preparation. For me, I think God separates you from old noise so He can build something quieter and stronger in you. Sometimes He lets the old rooms feel uncomfortable because you're not supposed to live there anymore. He might let you feel the emptiness She's showing you what you used to fill yourself with, right? He's showing you like what you used to fill yourself with just isn't fulfilling you anymore. And it's not easy. When, at the end of the day, when all the noise goes away and you have to sit with yourself, you have to face what you've been avoiding. You have to ask the real questions like, who am I now? What do I want to do with my life? Do I really care what everybody else thinks? What kind of man am I becoming? What kind of person am I becoming? What kind of spouse do I want to be? What kind of dad do I want my kids to remember? What kind of life am I building? What do I run to when I'm tired? What do I use to fill the quiet? Friggin' mosquitoes every so often. They're heavy questions, They're definitely important and worth asking. Because a person can have a full schedule and you can still feel empty in your soul. A man can be surrounded by people and still feel unheard or unseen. You can be successful and still be searching. What else? Grateful. You could be grateful and still feel unfinished. And I think that's where a lot of confusion can come from. Ooh, sorry, I'm like tripping through here. Yeah, a lot of confusion can come from all that. Right? You're in this middle ground. You think if you admit you're lonely, it means you're ungrateful for all the changes you've made. And how do I put it? You can be thankful for your life and still be honest about the parts of you that are hurting. That's one of the best things that I've learned is if you're genuinely honest about every last single thing, your life is going to start changing like tenfold. And I mean being honest about everything. Just open with everyone. Right? You can love your family and still need a deeper sense of connection. You can believe in God and still go through quiet seasons where you're trying to hear Him. Ooh, check this out. I don't know what got stuck in there. But it definitely is something big. This was all washed out for a while. So yeah, you can believe in God and still go through quiet seasons where you're trying to hear Him more clearly. You can be strong and still feel lonely, right? And it's not that it makes you weak, but it definitely makes you human and reminds you that we're human. So if you're in a lonely chapter, maybe don't rush to escape it right away. Maybe actually pay attention to it. Pay attention to what's going on, right? Not in a way where you drown in it, right? But in a way where you ask, what is this season trying to teach me? What am I supposed to stop and learn here? Even though I'm uncomfortable in it, what is the outcome that I need to learn going through this? Maybe it's teaching you stop needing the old crowd to validate you. Right? Maybe it's stop confusing noise with connection. Maybe it's teaching you that peace feels boring at first when your nervous system is used to chaos. A lot of nervous system work definitely goes on in the lonely chapter, if you're going through that, I'd suggest you start looking into your nervous system. Maybe it's teaching you how to sit with God without needing distraction. Maybe it's teaching you don't need everyone to understand the path in order to keep walking it. That one's been big for me. Like, huge. Not everybody understands why I do the things I do. Some people might find it weird, find it, he's out there. And that's fine. I'm getting really used to it now. So you don't need everyone to understand your path. Some people are only going to understand the old version of you, and that's fine for them, right? But if they're not willing to grow like you are, then what choice do you have, right? You could try to humble yourself and be nice when you're around them, and you always got to be nice to people. But some people, you'll find out, they're only comfortable with who you used to be. Some people liked you better when you were easier to explain. Wow, this is getting kind of wild back here. Right? They liked you when you were easier to explain, but that doesn't mean you go back. It means you keep walking, You just keep letting life throw what it's going to throw at you, and just like this. Just keep pushing through it. Just keep walking that battle, You keep building. You keep becoming the person you're meant to be. Keep showing up. Show up for your family, and keep taking care of yourself, your body, your mind. Keep choosing discipline. Keep letting God work on you in the quiet. That's basically the roundabout way of putting it. I wonder if there's a way I can get out there right now. And eventually, I think that lonely chapter starts to change a bit. It's not always because a bunch of people start to show up, but you yourself, you start becoming better company for yourself. Maybe it's learning how to be alone. Oh yeah, I want to get out there. How do I get out there? This log is really long. I wonder if it goes over there. Yeah, so start learning. Woo, a little sketchy. Hold on, I gotta focus on this for a second. Woo, just a little wobbly. Last time I was down here, this was all mud. I kind of got some semi-nice kicks on right now. So, I'm not really trying to get swallowed up, Oh, okay. This looks like sand. I'm gonna go for it. Whew, okay, we made it. Where was I? Yeah, sometimes you just gotta keep pushing. Find out that maybe all the company you used to like having around is kind of... Whoo! I slipped. There's the mud I was talking about. Thankfully, it's on the bottom of my kicks and not the top. If I had known this was like this, I would have worn my boots. So, I think... Oh, where was I? Sometimes it's like, what do I actually want? Why do I need those people? Some people, you're going to evolve. You're going to change. you know, and it's not worth walking backwards into the chaos that you used to live in. Sometimes it's where you stop performing and you start, right? That's what I'm trying to learn, right? I don't want to run from every lonely feeling. I don't want to fill every quiet space I have with noise, right? And I don't want to go backwards just because it has more inclusion in it, more people, more interaction. For me, it's just not worth it, right? I'm not leaving chaos to possibly get wrapped up in other people's chaos, you know? So, becoming the kind of person who can walk through a lonely chapter without losing faith, without losing hope, without losing discipline, without losing yourself. Maybe this chapter is not here to break you. It's here to build you. Here to clear out the old. Make room for something better. Maybe it's here to teach you that being alone for a season is not the same as being forgotten. That sun is warm. So today, that's the thought from my walk. If you're in a lonely chapter, don't automatically assume you're failing. Maybe you're growing. Maybe you're being prepared for something greater. You know, maybe the big guy's doing something in the quiet that you just fully can't see or understand yet. And maybe the job right now isn't to run from the loneliness. Maybe the job is to keep walking through it with faith, one step at a time, one prayer at a time, one honest day at a time. Just being truthful with everything and everyone. Because the lonely chapter, it can't last forever. Definitely doesn't last forever. But if you let them teach you, the lonely chapters, let them teach you, they can definitely change who you become. Just be careful to remember everything that you learned in the middle of that chapter. Yeah, that's the thought from my walk today. Enjoy it, y'all.